Hey everyone, welcome back. So today is Thursday. Hope you guys are having a great day. Today wasn't a great day in the markets. Either in the markets, regular markets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all down today. Miners were also pretty much down, except for maybe exception of a couple. We'll look at all those. The miners also hitting 52-week lows today were Bit Digital, Cleanspark, Hut 8, Iris Energy, Soluna, TerraWolf, Riot, Marathon, and Bitfarms. It was a lot again. Even though Bitcoin has been coming down, it's actually been going up. These miners are coming down, which is kind of strange. Right, so it's kind of the market that we're in. Also, Cleanspark, there's a lot of FUD with the 500 million ATM. We're also going to do the full 10K review of it. It came out later on yesterday or this morning. It came out, so I updated my spreadsheet. We're going to go over it pretty thoroughly, look at the numbers, and I think that they're actually pretty good. They're not that bad. They're actually better than I thought. Okay, and then we also have Sphere 3D, flat but promising. So November production update for them as well. We'll look at all that as always. And this is not financial advice, right? Don't follow me. Do not buy and sell shares based on anything that I say. You have to do your own research for entertainment only, and don't fall for scams. Spam posts get reported and deleted. I'm investing in coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you guys enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously, okay? So let's get into the markets here. S&P was down 2.49% today to 3,895. Dow Jones was down 2.25% to 33,202. NASDAQ was down 3.37% to 11,345, sorry. And Bitcoin was actually down today quite a bit. It was down 2.51% to a close of 17,357. We hit a low of 17,275 and a high of 17,856. Okay, and then what was I going to say? Oh, we basically went down almost $1,000 in change from yesterday from the high that we were at. We were at 18,360, almost 18,400 roughly, and we are now at 17,396, so almost $1,000 swing in it. Now, looking at the 4-hour chart, we can see here that we are at the RSI of 46. Last time we were here was back around here. We were lower in price at that point, so that's a good sign there. Still bullish on the 4-hour. 1 hour, same thing. If we look at it, our size at 37 right now. Last time we were back here, roughly, price was lower at that point as well. So it is still looking a little bit bullish on the 1 hour chart, even though everything got pounded today by investors. And I guess they didn't like the comments from Fed Powell yesterday, and it just continued on into today's trading session as well. Okay, let's take a look at the miners here, see how they did. And oops, almost forgot. Ethereum. Ethereum was also down today. It was down 3.14% to a close of 1,266. We hit a low of 1,259 and a high of 1,311. And it's looking the same way for Ethereum as it is for Bitcoin right now. So ANY was down 1.37% to 35.9 cents. Argo was down 18.27 to 4 cents right now. Still waiting on any news from them, whether or not they're going to be able to pull a magic trick out of them or not. Bit Digital was down 8% today to 69 cents. Bitfarm was down 12.2% to 46 cents. Cleanspark was down 16.67% here. And they've been beaten down because I think the ATM came out with the $500 million value tag associated with it, and investors just panicked for whatever reason. But we'll get into it. I'll provide you guys with some great metrics that I think will be helpful. But we'll get into that here in a little bit. Then we got Core Scientific is actually up today 72%. So they actually like the news that came out yesterday, the open letter. We covered it yesterday. So we had another continuation onto that of 72% today. So they're up to 43 cents right now. And then you got DigiHost was up 3.96% to almost 52 cents. DMG was down 5.85% to 14.5 cents. Greenidge was down 7.08% to $4.40 cents. Hive was down 6.53% to $1.86. Hut was down 8.13% to 96 cents. Iris Energy was down 5.04% to $1.32. Luxfolio was down flat. I don't even know if they're trading anymore. It seems like they've been pretty flat here. Marathon down 8.05% to $4.34. Mawson was up 7.68% to 30 cents. Riot was down 3.13% to 402. Soluna was down 2.49% to 40 cents. And Stronghold was down 7.37% to 47 cents. And finally, TerraWolf was down 7.74% to 59 cents. Now, I wanted to show you guys something also here. Let's go back to Bitcoin really quick, and we're going to compare Bitcoin to the miners here, since we've dipped here basically And let's go back to over here. This was back in the beginning of November. From that point, once we dipped, here we go. Okay. Now I'm going to add a couple miners into it here. We're going to add Marathon really quick as the same as scale. We're also going to add Riot as well. We'll add Cleanspark, CLSK in here as well. We'll also add Bitfarms, BITF in here, and we'll also add HUT8 in here as well. So we can kind of see how they have compared to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is only down 6.12% in that time from when we're looking at it approximately the 9th of November, roughly 9th to the 8th. Bitcoin is only down 6.22%. Riot is down 17.96%. Cleanspark is down 23%. Bitfarms is down 35%. HUT8 is down 44%. And Marathon is down 54%. The reason I bring this up to you guys is that the miners are almost like a leverage play against Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is coming down. These guys typically do far worse. And the opposite is also true when Bitcoin is going up. They do a lot better than Bitcoin. A couple multiple X better in either direction. So it's something that we just have to be mindful of. And just remember, this is almost like a leverage play on Bitcoin. Okay, so just wanted to point that out to you guys. Now let's take a look at the network hash rate, see if there's any changes in it. And it has come down a little bit here right now to 261 million on the 7-day average. On the 1 day we're looking at, it has come back down a little bit to 236 million. We're still seeing higher lows, it looks like, on this than we have before. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bounce here, depending on where Bitcoin price heads to next. I'm guessing we're going to have a little bit of reversal. I don't know if we're going to have it tomorrow, but we may have it over the weekend or next week a little bit. But we'll see. Right now, things are looking pretty good on the charts. Okay, so those are the miners, hash rate, and the stock market, along with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's take a look at our first story that we'll get into is on Sphere 3D. So this is going to be really quick. We're just going to dive into this pretty fast here. Production for the month totaled 10.28 BTC, which is less than the prior month. Total Bitcoin holdings did increase a little bit to 90.34 at the month end. And then operations achieved 105 BTC per exahash efficiency, which is actually pretty good in line with some of the other miners. But they only have like 100 petahash, so they haven't installed anything. The CEO comments, so November was a month of significant achievements for Sphere 3D with the announcement of restructuring of our BitFuFu contract. We are anticipating the delivery and energization of thousands of new miners. BitFuFu has shipped more than 11,000 miners to the US. That would represent approximately 1.1 exahash for them. That would get them to maybe 1.2, which we expect to arrive in the coming weeks. When energized, these machines will dramatically increase our production capacity. On a parallel path, we are working closely with the new operator of the Wolf Hollow site to energize our approximately 3,336. That would be equivalent to 333 petahash. Delays in energization have been complicated by legal restrictions associated with Compute North's bankruptcy proceedings, but we expect a significant portion of these miners to be hashing in the coming days and are doing everything possible to accelerate their energization, said Patricia Trumpeter, CEO of Sphere 3D. So that is good there. And then they also talk about Compute North, that they're still working with them on the miners there. Okay, so let's take a look at the numbers that I have for them really quick. And let me see, where's Sphere? Sphere is over here. Okay, so there isn't really much change. They did mine 10.28 Bitcoin, which is less than they had before. But first, I almost forgot. Currently, they have about 69 million shares outstanding. Market cap is at 24.9 million. Stock price is 36 cents. Right now, current hash rate, 100 petahash. Future hash rate is going to be possibly around 2.1. Their BTC HODL is 90.34. And we can see their BTC mined here starting at the year, 1.8, 3.6, 7.1, 12.3. And they stayed in the 12s here pretty much through all of spring and summer. And then as we got into the fall, they've been coming down as network hash rate has been increasing. Their production has been decreasing, which is what we're seeing if you're not installing more miners. And then their BTC per exahash was at, that's not right. Oh no, it is right. Yeah, because it's about the same here, because they only have 100 petahash that they've been stuck at. Yeah, so this is their efficiency here. That's not right. Wait a minute. It should be times 1,000, I think. Yeah, I knew something was off. Something was off on it. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. So I currently have them at 102 Bitcoins per exahash based on their numbers. They're showing 105. I'm wondering if that's the average on it potentially. But they have been coming down here ever since August on it. And then they earned approximately 180,000 in the month of November based on the Bitcoin average price for that month. So November didn't get any miners installed. They should get some miners coming in this month, December. They've been saying that for quite a few months now, so we'll see if that happens or if it's going to happen actually in the beginning of January sometime possibly. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at right now. As far as institutions are concerned, institutions did decrease a little bit to 27 from 31. Shares also decreased to 5.4 million from 6.6, and percentage owned decreased to 7.91 from 10.42. As far as analyst ratings, we still have one buy rating and a price target of $10 for high, average, and low on them. Okay, now looking at my numbers here that we have for them. This is the last 3 quarters plus the current quarter that we are in right now. We're looking at a total of about 3.2 million so far this year. It looks like 50% net income from gross revenue. We're looking at possibly 35 cents. They are right now at 36. They are pretty fairly priced at 15. That's if Bitcoin's going up in value though. So I do think they are a little bit overpriced right now, a little overvalued based on where they are. They are going to be at possibly 1.4 exahash sometime either this month or next month. That should help them out, generate more revenue. Then I could see that possibly happening where they are increasing on it. Okay. So that is it for Sphere 3D. Now let's talk about all the fun that's going on with Cleanspark. Okay. So ever since the story came out yesterday that they're getting 500 million ATM, people are freaking out, and some are even confused, are getting confused, I think, incorrectly by thinking that the 500 million is going to come all at once. We're going to see basically 250 million share dilution all happen at once, which is not the case. This is something that they can pull from. It's kind of like having, how can I explain it? It's an ATM machine. So if you need cash, you go to it when you need it. It's not like they're going to pull all of it all at once, right? So with the previous 500 million ATM that they had, they only used up 219 million of that to get them to, if we get to, let's take a look at where they are right now. Cleanspark, there it is. So they used up 219 million since, when was it, June of 2021. From that time frame to now, they've used up 219 million roughly, based on the information that's in here. And they point out, where did it go? I was reading this earlier. I saw it here in one of the first paragraphs. There is 280,266,556 shares of common stock that remain unsold under the ATM agreement and registered under the registration statement. So they've only used up like 219 million of that original 500 million. And then they're getting a new 500 million ATM as a replacement, I believe, for this one. Okay, so they've grown basically in that year and a half to, they said they are now at 5.8 exahash. They're going to be pretty much at 6 exahash by the end of this month, potentially. That is a lot of growth for the hash rate that they have grown. One of the things that I wanted to point out to you guys is looking at the other miners as far as just this past year from Q1 to end of Q3, and then currently where we're looking at, where we're standing, how much other companies have diluted. And I've used only a couple of some of the bigger guys here as well, just to get a comparison on it. And the numbers are actually really in favor of Cleanspark. So let me show you what the details that we have here. So Cleanspark started out with Q1 with 41.3 million shares. They ended Q3 with 42.6 million shares. That is a dilution of 1.2 million shares roughly. They started out with 2 exahash roughly in hash rate speed, and they ended up Q3 at 4.16 exahash. So they increased by 2.1 exahash for that time frame, while Bitfarms was at 201 million shares at beginning of Q1, or at the end of Q1. Q3 they were at 210 million, dilution of 9.1 million shares. They started out 2.3 exahash, ended at 4.2. Marathon was at 103 million. Q3 ended at 116 million, dilution of 13 million. I'm not going to go through all of these, but Riot was a dilution of 36 million, and Hut 8 was 24 million shares diluted in those 3 quarters, basically. Hash rate increase for Riot was 3 0.45 exahash. HUT was only, or sorry, the increase was 2.13 for Riot and 0.931 exahash for HUT 8. Now, if we take the number of shares and divide it by the petahash that they had, which 2,101 petahash is 2.1 exahash for you guys. So Cleanspark had a dilution of 608 shares per petahash. That's the best way I can explain it to you guys. Bitfarms had 4,884 shares per petahash in growth. Marathon was at 58,519 shares per petahash growth. Riot, 17,221 shares per petahash. And HUT 8 had 25,841 shares per petahash growth. So the most efficient one here as far as dilution is concerned with growth is Cleanspark at 608. And this is just for their Q3, through Q3. But if we take a look at all the way through to the current numbers that we have for them ending, well, the current shares outstanding is the ones from today. So I'm taking the market cap, dividing it by the stock price to get the current shares outstanding roughly. Cleanspark has 47 million shares. Bitfarms 202 million, Marathon 116 million, Riot 167, and HUT at 195 million shares. Their current hash rate is 5.5 exahash for Cleanspark, 4.4 for Bitfarms, 7 exahash for Marathon, 7.7 exahash for Riot, and HUT 8 is at 3.2 exahash. So the increase from the beginning of the year to now, Cleanspark increased by 3.4 exahash, Bitfarms by 2 exahash, Marathon by 3.5 exahash, Riot by 4.2 exahash, and HUT 8 by 1.1. Now, shares diluted from the beginning of the year to now, Cleanspark diluted 5,759,000 shares, Bitfarms 889,000 shares. Is that right? Let me see here, 202. And how can they have less shares than in Q3? Something that's not right with that one. That one's coming up weird on me. Let's see. Marathon was 13.7 million shares. Riot 50 million shares. HUT 8 24 million shares from the beginning of the year. So shares per petahash dilution 13.6 thousand for Cleanspark, 97,000 for Bitfarms. That's, I think, I got to look into that, why that one's coming up less. I'll just take a look at it right now. Bitfarms 202, stock price, market cap. I mean, that's what we're kind of getting at right now. 202 on that. Might be off by a little bit. Let's go back here. Marathon was 33,000 shares per petahash. Riot was 39,000, and HUT 8 was 172,000 shares per petahash. So once again, Cleanspark is still the winner here as far as efficiency goes for their growth and dilution. So lower dilution, better growth. Cleanspark still won out on this one. Okay, then if we take a look at their hash rate where they are now, they're going to be approximately at 6 exahash by the end of this year. They said their guidance was 16 exahash by the end of 2023. They reduced that down to 20 from 22 because of Lancium. They're having issues there, capital constraints and things like that, so they're not growing as fast as they had originally thought. So we need about 10 exahash in order for Cleanspark to get to those 16 exahash that they're providing the guidance for. Now, they did say in their conference call that they have in the past, which they have in this year, have constantly done better than what they had guidance for. So they were saying that they're going to be at 5 exahash by the end of this year. They got to 5.5. Now they're saying that they're going to be at 6 exahash. So they're continually improving on those numbers as the time goes by. But if we're looking to get to 10 if we're looking to add an additional 10 exahash to get to the 16 exahash here from the 6 that we are going to be currently at, if we're looking at the miners, the 100 terahash miners at $15 per terahash, which is kind of what the average is, I think, on these miners, they would need approximately $150 million in order to fund that right now. Now, if we go on the higher end, that would be 200 million, which would be kind of in line with what they've spent over the past year and a half or so on their current ATM. They spent 219 million, but that was also buying facilities, things like that, so that was a little bit more costly. If we're working with Lancium, I'm not sure what the if there's any capital up front that they have to put into it, but I would think it would still be less than building out your own facilities and things like that. But even if they needed to get their own facilities, I think they could possibly buy facilities and build them out for another, 15 million, 200 million, something like that, potentially to get to the 16 exahash. So that would be on top of this. But I'm just looking at right now just the miners themselves, where they would need to be, how much they would need to spend in order to get to the additional 10 exahash. So if we're looking at the stock, let's say the stock goes down even further this month to $1.50 by the time by the end of this month, let's say the stock is $1.50. From there, let's say the stock appreciates because Bitcoin starts going back up in price, 50 cents a month, which I think is very doable. So by the end of next year, this time around, we would be somewhere around $7 potentially in the stock price for Cleanspark. We know that they would need to install basically 833 petahash per month in order to get to the 10 exahash by the end of the year. That would represent approximately $12.5 million needed to buy those miners to get to that, if we're still using the 15 terahash on average. That would represent approximately, where was it here? Here it is. They would need to sell about 8 million shares the first month, 6.2 million shares the next month, 5 million shares the following month. And then by the time we get to December, if the price goes up, they're only selling 1.7 million shares. So it all depends on when they draw on that ATM, where the stock price is, and how much they actually dilute. If the price starts going back up, Bitcoin's going back up, they could potentially dilute anywhere from 43 million, 44 million on average, to about 58 million shares. Like I said, this is just an estimate on where things could be. That would get them to where they are from now, to about 90 million shares outstanding, to about 105 million shares outstanding in total, if that was the scenario that would work out. So this is kind of our best case scenario right there. Our worst case scenario is that we're stuck at $2 for the rest of the year. And at that point, they would basically end up diluting about 75 million shares if they were able to purchase the miners at $15 per terahash and 100 million shares at $20 per terahash. Right? So I think it's better for them to buy the miners while they are still so depressed in price, because you can buy so much more of them for a lot less. But the bad thing is dilution here is going to hurt more because the price is so low on the stock, which I think a lot of investors don't get that the ATM works in opposite for us if the price goes up in value, the stock price. So the worst case scenario would be 122 million shares total by the end of next year, 247 million, which is still going to be probably less than what these miners have right now, because I'm pretty sure they're going to be diluting the rest of the year as well, as they have done so far this year. So that's just kind of my take on it. I wanted to show this to you guys a little bit. I'm trying to think of what else did I want to show you guys, just as an explainer on this. I think that was it. Yeah, I think that was it. I don't think I wanted to go into anything else as far as, I guess we could take a look at growth of BTC. You can see Bitfarms has been kind of coming down a little bit here towards the end of the month. Cleanspark has pretty much been growing every single month here for the most part. If we look at Hut 8, you can see their production has been coming down. Look at, I think Marathon has been getting a little bit better here, but has come down. And then Riot, you can see here as well. That's Riot. Riot has started to come back up a little bit, but they were kind of like a roller coaster ride a little bit throughout this year. Whereas I think Cleanspark has done the best job of continuous growth and continuous increases in Bitcoin production. Right now, they are the second largest Bitcoin producer for the ones that I track. Biggest one is right now Core. Core is like at 1,500 BTC. These guys are second in 535. Riot, I think, would be in the second spot right now at 521. Yep, and then you got possibly Bitfarms and Marathon as well in there. So I am still very bullish on Cleanspark. So for those of you that sold today, thank you. I was able to actually dollar cost average in a little bit more on Cleanspark, and I'll continue to do that until we get into the next bull run. I'm just that bullish on Cleanspark and Bitcoin and everything in general. So as always, this is not financial advice. You guys have to do your own thing, do your own research. Don't buy and sell based on this videos. But I am still very bullish on it, and I will continue to dollar cost average into it because this is a long-term play for me, at least for the next 2 to 3 years at most. Okay, so let's get into their numbers here for Q4 for them, and we'll call it a day. But I just wanted to kind of show you guys some of the differences here, especially on efficiencies, things like that. And then once we have all the miners report their, well, if we look at it over here, that's what I wanted to show you guys also. Bitcoin monthly production based on all the miners here. You can see here, Cleanspark has increased from the beginning of the year by 75%. The only other one that's done better is Digital. And let's see who else we have here. Core, we're still waiting on their numbers. DigiHost was down to DMG's up 35. Greenidge, we're waiting on their numbers. Hive is down 37% from the beginning of the year on BTC production. Hut is down 22%. Iris was actually up 19.8. They were up higher, but they've reduced their hash rate. Marathon is only up 2.14% from the beginning of the year, which is just kind of abysmal performance there. Moss and Riot is up 13.76. So you can see that they have continuously grown, not only in their Bitcoin production, but also in their hash rate growth. So if we look at their hash rate growth, let's see here, Cleanspark is up, where did it go? Year-to-date growth, 167%. The only one that's done better is, I think, Digital, but they had all the miners. They were just waiting for those miners to get installed at hosting providers. Argo was up 120%, Bitfarms 88%, Core was up 91%, DigiHost was up 56%, DMG 67%, Greenidge 79%, Hive was actually down 13%, Hut is up 52%, Iris was 79%, Marathon is 101%, Boston's down 53%, Riot was up 122%, Soluna up 74%, and then we get into TerraWolf, which just started mining this year. They're way up, and that's because they were pretty much at the bottom here. But this isn't one of those other things that's kind of telling, right? Performance increases over the year have been tremendous for them. So that's one of the reasons I am such a bull on Cleanspark, okay? All right, let's get finally into their numbers here. We'll take a look at the good and the bad, and we'll call it a day. So if you guys have any comments, questions on those metrics, I'd love to hear it. If you guys disagree or agree with me, love to hear it as well. But here's what we got. So I actually had to go through and get their Q1 numbers from that ended when they had December of last year. Those were the Q1 numbers in order for me to pull all the data in. And then because when they provide the fiscal year numbers, they provide a lot of times the year-to-date numbers, and they don't have the quarterly results for Q4 in them. So you kind of have to take the fiscal year numbers, subtract Q1, Q2, and Q3 from it to get to the Q4 numbers. And this is the way I had to do it. So it took me a little bit longer, and that's why this video is coming out a little bit late as well. Okay, so we'll get into these here at the end here, but assets at the end of the quarter was 20.4 million. This is cash and cash equivalents, so that's higher than it has been for a while here. They were at 2.6 million in Q3, so that's a huge increase there for them. Accounts receivable is also down a little bit, which is fine. Those have been coming down here. It looks like the last, well, it's been up here in Q2 and then down in Q3. Inventory is, well, I guess it would be up from last month. Then prepaid expenses is up to 7.9. Digital currency is also up to 11.147. Derivative investments is up a little bit here. Investment in debt securities is up a little bit, and current assets held for sale is down to 7.4. So current assets is 50.7 million, up from 29.4 million, which is really good. Property equipment is up also to 376 million. Operating lease is down to 550,000 from 1.2, so that's been coming down here. That's good. Intangible assets is down a little bit here, 6.4 from 6.8. Deposits on mining is down also to 12.5, roughly from 31. Other long-term assets is 3.9, down from 6.5. And long-term assets held for sale is down, up actually to 1.5, sorry, from 839,000. So total assets, 452 million, up from 411 million, so that's good. We have an increase there. Now, current liabilities, only accounts payable and accrued liabilities is 24.6 million, so that's up from 12.9. Operating lease is down. Finance lease is also down a little bit here. Loans payable is up a little bit to 7.7. And what else do we have here? We have dividend payables. Current liabilities held for sale is 1.1. So total current liabilities is 34 million. Excuse me. And they have total current assets of 15 million. So they should be good at their current ratio is good on this. They're over 1, which is good. Then if we look at operating lease, 447,000, finance, 179, and loans payable net of current portion is 13.4, so a total of 48 million. They still have enough from total current assets to pay off their total liabilities, which is good. So they're looking great there. Total stockholder equity is 452 million. I mean, stock price right now is what, 80, or the market cap right now is 89 million. That's just ridiculous. Usually companies trade at least at a 1, if not a multiple of that. So that's how you can tell a little bit that the company's way undervalued based on these numbers. Revenues also 26 million, down a little bit from Q3, but we've known the price of Bitcoin has come down. So that's understandable. Total for the year was 131 million, looks like. So overall, I mean, revenues are higher than their current market share are. So that's funny there too. Cost of revenue was down a little bit here to 9.9 from 10.3. Professional fees also down to 817 from 1.4, so that's good. Payroll, for whatever reason, payroll was up substantially, about 5.2 million roughly. Can't figure out why. I'll have to do a little bit more digging into that one. General administrative was up a little bit to 3.2. Gain, let's see what else we have here. Impairment, other things that were up. Impairment expense, goodwill was up 12.4. Loss on sale of digitals was 7.8 million. So that was a loss there. Depreciation and amortization was up to 14.8. And then cost of revenue total was 48.3 million. Gross profit was negative 22 million. Gross profit minus depreciation was 36 million, or 61%. So that was good there. And let's see here. Other operating expenses. What do we have here that they added in here? Realized gain on sale of digital currency, 9.94. That was, I think, nope. That was included up there. That was 9.94. On this one, oh, that's coming up over here because that was 0. So that should have been a 0 probably on it as well. Realized gain on sale equity securities. So overall, total other income was negative 7.7. Income loss before income taxes was negative 38 million. And let's see, what else do we have here? Total net loss was 42 million. So that is higher than it was in Q3, but they did put a lot of stuff in here, like they said in their statement yesterday. Goodwill, depreciation, things like that they put in there. So total net loss for the year was 57 million negative, or 95 cents per share. And then we have the basic and diluted number of shares here. So that's where we're getting our share information for our metrics, okay? Okay, going back up here, this is really good information up here as well. And BTC mined, so 1,227 Bitcoins mined for Q4. Q3 was 964 and 899 in Q2. Starting hash rate was 2.8, exahash ending was 4.1. They averaged about 3.5 exahash for the quarter, increase of hash rate of 1.2 exahash. And they mined on average 347 BTC per exahash during the quarter. And cost to mine 1 BTC was 39,000, so that's good. That's down from the 47 and even the 42. The big one here is the cost to mine 1 BTC minus depreciation. They're down to $8,000 to mine a Bitcoin currently. I think this is one of the lowest, if not the lowest, numbers to mine a Bitcoin currently. You can also see here enterprise value market is 103, undervalued based on where this market cap is currently. And then their debt to equity ratio is 0.12, which is good, which is really low. We want that. You want to have that under one. And then the current ratio, you always want to have that at least 1 or above. And they're at 1.49, and it has increased here from Q3. So that's good there. I mean, increased a little bit, but still good. The only bad thing here is the general and administrative compared to revenue. So revenue was 26.1 million, and the general and administrative compensation was 17.1, and that includes also the payroll expenses. If I take out possibly the payroll expenses and just use the general and administrative expenses, that would be probably lower, but we've been using that here for the whole time, so I'm just gonna leave it as is. So that has gone up significantly here based on those numbers. Overall, for the year, they're at 39%, which isn't too bad. This quarter was kind of high, so we want to see that come down, and biggest one was the payroll. Payroll has gone way up. Not sure why that is on it, whether that was stock-based compensation added into it or not. That might have been the reason for it. Okay, so there you have it. I mean, the numbers are pretty good for them. I don't see any concerns for them not being able to continue operating the way they are. Their debt is low. Their assets are good as well. They also didn't have any auditors' statements saying growing concerns for them going forward. So that was good there, like some of the other miners have. So we just have a lot of good news, but I think just the 500 million ATM FUD is what wrecked the stock today, which is fine. And we might have a little bit more of a dip here coming up in the next couple of days, and I'll take it. If it dips some more, I know, but I have faith in the company. I know what they're doing, and they've, based on the metrics, they're one of the best that I currently cover. So, not financial advice as always, but that's kind of the way I'm looking at things. And a lot of times, math just is the math, right? You can't hype or underhype the math or trash the math. So, this is where I'm at. Spreadsheet is always available to Patreon members. As always, thank you to everyone there for their continued support. And we'll see how the stock does tomorrow, along with the other guys. I mean, everybody's getting wrecked right now because of the market that we're in. Now, given that I think we're getting close to the next, well, I know we're getting close to the next Bitcoin halving, but I think the closer that we get to it, once we start getting closer to being within 9 to 6 months of that, I think Bitcoin price may, at that point, start turning around, if not prior to that as well. Okay, so we still have some time. We still have some pain, I think. We may go down lower. We've seen this before. I've said it before where, Hive went down to 8 cents before everything was said and done. Then they went back up to $5, almost $7, with the previous bull cycle that we were in. So we're going to have some pain, I think, but you just got to be ready for it. Dollar cost averaging as best as you can. I'm definitely doing that. Not financial advice. You guys have to do your own thing. But I'm investing in the long run, so I'm not too worried about it. I take these dips in the prices as sales for as long as I can afford to keep doing it. Or until my wife finds out, then I'm in deep trouble. All right, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Hope you guys have a great night. Love you all. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.